most goals in a Premier League season, treble winner, and Ballon d'Or runner-up. All of this in one season at Manchester City. There is no denying that Erling Haaland is a legend in the making and one of the faces of the next generation of the sport. However, his career almost ended up looking much different. From dreaming of playing for Leeds to endless success at Manchester City, this is the full story of Erling Haaland and how one failed transfer may be the reason he's the player we know and love today. July 21st, 2000 saw the birth of Erling Haaland in the city of Leeds, England. He grew up in a football-loving family with his father Alpha Inga. He was the guiding light for Haaland in his career, and with his history playing in the Premier League, racking up nearly 200 Prem appearances for Nottingham Forest, Leeds United and Manchester City respectively, Erling was destined for Premier League football. From an early age, he showcased to those around him that he was special, and so he caught the attention of scouts, leading him to join the youth academy at Burn FK, another one of his father's former clubs. He scored 18 and 14 during the 2015-16 season with Burn's reserve team, where in May of 2016, youth coach Bernstein was promoted to caretaker boss. Here, aged just 15, Haaland earned his debut for the first team, going on to play 16 games that season. Yes, he failed to score, but when you're that young playing first team professional football, that's wild. And the rest of the footballing world agreed, as Haaland caught the attention of other clubs, most notably at this time Hoffenheim, who offered the teenager a trial. However, he had other ideas, as at just 16 years old, Haaland made the bold decision to join Molde in Norway under the guidance of none other than Manchester United legend and treble winner himself, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. In an interview with a Norwegian newspaper, Erling said, "The dream is to win the Premier League with Lee." Sorry. The dream is to win the Premier League with Leeds and become a better player than my dad was. Well, Ollie knew that Haaland had the ability to do exactly that. Become a better player than his dad, that is. Not win the league with Leeds, Jesus. He's good, but he's not a miracle worker. Thus, Ollie spent time with him after training to practice his finishing during their 2 years together. Little did Haaland know though that his career was about to take an unexpected turn. 6 months before Ollie's move to Manchester United in December of 2018, he tried to tell the club about Haaland and the immense talent he had displayed for Molde, including one game where he scored 4 in 21 minutes. After the match, Ollie told reporters, "He can become a top striker for sure. We've had offers from clubs this year, but we rejected them. Former Champions League winners. He's probably not the world's biggest Manchester United fan, but if they come to the door, there are not many who say no." Despite knowing that Haaland, due to his upbringing, did not like United, Ollie said in the past how he hoped to get him there instead of Leeds or City like his dad. Clearly, Ollie was desperate for Haaland to end up United one way or another, and wanting his former club to return to the heights in which he lived, Ollie offered Manchester United the chance to sign the young Norwegian for a measly £4 million. Scouts even went to watch him play for Molde. In spite of that though, the club refused to listen to Ollie's recommendation, which is ironic when you realise that just 6 months later they'd bring him in as caretaker manager anyway, so clearly his opinion must have held some kind of weight, right? However, it wasn't long until a European club would come in and sign Haaland, with RB Salzburg in Austria snatching the then 18-year-old up for around €8 million in January 2019. Haaland claimed that this move was the perfect one for him, and looking at RB Salzburg's recent success of buying in promising young talent to put into the spotlight for top European clubs to snap up later, it's pretty easy to understand why, with Deo Upamecano and Sadio Mane being examples, just to name two. Now, Haaland told 442 magazine, "In the first half of the year, I trained a lot and didn't play much, but then the summer arrived and I just didn't look back. There was a new manager who helped me a lot. Jesse March was fantastic to me." Yet another connection to Premier League football is Jesse March later went on to manage Leeds United, Erling's dad's former club and his own birth town. Haaland went on to score 29 goals in 27 games, including a first half hat-trick on his Champions League debut versus Genk, and a record-breaking 9 goals in one game with the Norwegian under-20 side. Seeing how well his prodigal son was doing, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer returned. This time as Manchester United's permanent manager to try and make his dream of bringing the Norwegian genius to Old Trafford a reality reality once and for all. Considering the connection that the two already had, this put the Red Devils in an advantageous position to win Haaland's signature. In September of 2019, Erling said, "Solskjaer has had a huge impact on my life, both as a person and as a trainer. He won the Champions League and was an incredibly good player." Thus, it seemed like Haaland's dream and fate of playing in the Premier League was about to come true. Heading into the January transfer window, Ole even said, "He is a player I like, and we're always looking for good players." Following a press conference on December 15th, many fans believed that the transfer was all but confirmed when the Man United manager could hardly contain his smiles when asked about Haaland, stating he knows what he's got to do and what he's going to do. Just 2 days prior, Solskjaer travelled to Haaland's camp shortly after United's head of global scouting, Marcel Boot, watched Haaland play against Liverpool in the Champions League. And so, after winning 2 league titles and a cup in Austria, fans were ready for the announcement of his January transfer to Borussia Dortmund. Reports suggest that the reason the move to Manchester United collapsed was due to a disagreement regarding the contract. Haaland and his agent at the time, Lionel Ole, wanted a release clause to be included. Sources claimed that United described them as bad for the industry, which is why they refused to include the £51 million buyout clause, which Dortmund chief Hans-Joachim Watzke confirmed. Hence why Haaland shortly moved to Dortmund thereafter, who happily included it, knowing that buying a player in for £18 million and then selling them on for 3 times that would fit their usual business model anyway. This begs the question, however, how different would the footballing world have looked had this transfer to Manchester United actually gone through? Would Ole have remained in his job? And more importantly, would Haaland have kicked on to have the record-breaking career that he's gone on to have? Let me know what you think in the comment section down below, and don't forget to ding that notification bell so that you don't miss out on future uploads. Either way, it is no denying that this one life-changing decision was a huge blessing for Haaland. Thus, with his move to Germany confirmed, he would go on to, well, you know, do Haaland things. 86 goals in 89 games. Like, what the fuck? He scored a 23-minute hat-trick on his debut and went on to net 27 goals in 28 games during his first season, with a scoring ratio of a goal every 3.5 attempts. To put this into perspective, Lewandowski's ratio was every 3.4. During his first season, he scored a brace or more a staggering 11 times, something only Bundesliga great Lewandowski and Gerd Müller have achieved prior. And so fans knew that they had a legend in the making, which was made even more obvious when he became the first player in the club's history to score in his debut in the Bundesliga, DFB Pokal, and the UEFA Champions League. He became the highest scoring under-21 player in Bundesliga history, surpassing teammate Jadon Sancho's record of 36. The partnership he forged with the young English sensation provided Haaland the perfect platform for his talent to flourish, and vice versa. Haaland's first full season at Dortmund was nothing short of extraordinary, beating RB Leipzig in the final of the DFB Pokal, scoring a goal. By the end of his time in Germany, Haaland had broke yet another record. He boasts the best minutes per goal ratio of any player to score at least 25 times in the Bundesliga, netting on average every 87 minutes. Lewandowski, for comparison, scores every 102. Despite the monumental career Haaland had at Dortmund, sporting director Sebastian Kehl actually labelled him as a burden during his final months at the club. His time in Dortmund, paired with his relatively cheap release clause of £51 million, meant that he was the hottest prospect in world football during the summer of 2022 when the clause activated. The way Haaland revolutionised German football and the speculation around his future had a massive impact on the rest of the squad. As much as we've always appreciated Erling and the success that he's had with our shirt, in the end the matter had definitely become a burden both in the dressing room and for the club, said the Dortmund sporting director to Sport Bild. And so the stars finally aligned, with Haaland getting his move to Manchester. Just to the blue side. This meant at the age of just 22, Haaland had the opportunity he had waited for, of playing in the Premier League under none other than Pep Guardiola, one of the greatest managers in the history of the sport who had revolutionised modern football. You see, the 21-22 season was one of very few goals by City standards following the departure of Sergio Aguero and an unsuccessful move for Cristiano Ronaldo. With no recognisable Golden Boot candidate in the league, with De Bruyne leading the charts with just 15 goals and Mahrez scoring the most in all competitions with just 24, it was easy to see how Haaland was a match made in heaven. The striker said prior to his transfer, "Last season at City, I watched so many times when crosses would go through the whole box and no one was there. I was imagining myself being there and thinking, I'd have slid that in. Yeah, he might have been onto something there. City went from no recognised goalscorer up front to Erling Haaland, who seems to easily break the most goals scored in a Premier League season record with 36. And that's without playing in the last couple of games either, as they'd already secured the league title. However, believe it or not, there was a time when some actually began labelling him as a problem. Midway through the season, Arsenal had solidified themselves as favourites for the league title. This made people believe that Haaland was incapable of playing in the Pep Guardiola system, and that he actually made Manchester City weaker by not being able to take part in the link-up play. Now, of course, this all just seems like complete and utter nonsense now, as in just his first season at the club, Haaland played a major role in putting City's name in the lights for all eternity by equaling their noisy neighbours Manchester United's greatest achievement, the treble. He went on to bag 52 goals in all competitions, including 4 hat-tricks, with one being against Manchester United in a humiliating derby thrashing, another scored in the FA Cup during City's 6-0 dismemberment of Burnley, as well as scoring a record equalling 5 in a 7-0 victory over RB Leipzig in the Champions League. This legendary season from the Norwegian left some fans puzzled seeing Messi win the Balon d'Or over him, which personally, I kind of see where they're coming from. However, even in the 23-24 season, one where Haaland is supposedly quiet, he is still keeping up an astonishing goal per game ratio.